18 states sending out stimulus checks or some type of relief payment. I have all the details and the full list for you right here in the video, so let's get right into it. All right, now as many of you know, there are multiple different states all across the country right now sending out money to millions and millions of Americans in the form of stimulus checks, tax rebates, tax credits, vouchers, or some type of relief payments. Well, I've talked about this a little bit in previous videos, but I've also seen down in the comments section, some of you have been reaching out saying, this sounds great. Can you give us a list of all the different states that are sending out payments to their residents? Well, that's a great question and exactly what I want to focus on right here in this video. And I do have that full list for you of different states right now that are sending out billions and billions of dollars to millions of Americans all across the country. So let's get into it and discuss all the details. However, really quickly before we do, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe by hitting the button right down below the video. As things are changing very rapidly right now, I'm doing all the research each and every day as your one and only daily advocate, and I am very much dedicated to you and this community to make sure that you're staying updated with everything going on and helping you grab as much money, benefits, programs, checks, or anything else you possibly can right now, especially with all these new announcements that we continue to get out of the administration, the president, lawmakers, Congress, and anything in regards to these new bills, packages, proposals, reform to very important programs, as well as anything talking about money, checks, programs, stimulus, or any types of relief payments, or any kind of programs out there right now that we can get as we continue to see all these new programs popping up all across the country. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and I'll continue to be here for you right by your side every single day to help you out in any way that I possibly can, as that's my commitment, and of course, I'm sticking to it. All right, thanks again. Make sure to subscribe down below, and let's get into it and get through the list of these 18 different states and all the money that's going out to millions and millions of Americans right now. All right, so before I get into this list, I just want to say this much. Please remember, I'm the messenger here, okay? If your state is not on the list here, please do not be upset with me. I don't have anything to do with this list, okay? I'm simply just bringing you the list of all the different states that have already approved money to go out to millions of their residents. There are many different states across the country right now. Now, again, I want to throw this out there as well. A lot of these states, well, first off, the states that we're going to read to you in this video right here have already approved payments in some form to their residents. So if your state is on this list, I would highly recommend that you look into your situation and see what do you need to do to grab your share of that money that your state is sending out. Now, some of the times the states have kind of restrictive rules on how you can get it. Sometimes it's isolated to some very specific groups of people. Sometimes it's a very broad check. For example, California alone, they're going to send out a check to 23 million people in that state. And there's about 40 million people in the state of California. So a little over 50% of the people in the state of California alone will be getting those checks. So again, that's just one example alone, okay? So if your state is on this list, I would recommend looking into it and seeing what you got to do in order to maybe get some of this money. Now, another thing too, I want to throw this out there. And before I say this, I just want to say this much. This is not tax advice. This is not financial advice in any way, shape, or form. I do not know your situation. However, some of these states do require you to file a state tax return in order to get the money. Not all the states. I'm just simply saying some of the states do require this. Well, even as a fixed income beneficiary, by default, you don't need to claim a tax return or file a tax return. Again, I don't know your situation, but in most cases, most fixed income beneficiaries don't file a tax return because you don't need to. Your income is low enough. However, if you want to, you can file a tax return. There's no rule that says you can't file a tax return. Even if your income is $20 a year, you can still file a tax return. You don't need to, but you can. Again, this is not tax advice. I don't know your situation. I'm simply saying, if your state requires that you file a tax return in order to get the check, well, you might want to look, is there a deadline in which you need to file that tax return by? If the deadline has already passed, well then, obviously there's no good in doing it anymore. But if the deadline is still out there somewhere in the future, it might be worth just filing a simple tax return on the state level just so you can be eligible for that check. Again, look into all the parameters. It might be worth filing a simple state tax return to grab the money. It might be totally worth it. Again, look into it in your situation. I don't know your situation. It is going to be different for everybody's situation and, of course, everybody's state. But the fact of the matter is, if it takes you 20 minutes to fill out a state tax return and it's going to net you $500 or $300, it might be worth your time. Again, I'm just saying, okay? So just trying to be creative here, thinking outside the box a little bit to help you get a little bit more money right now, because I know it's very discouraging sometimes to look at the situation and say, oh, they require a tax return in order to get the money. Yeah, but who says you can't file a tax return? Nobody. You can if you want to. It doesn't really matter. You don't need to in most cases because you're not required to because your income is low enough. But you still can if you want to, right? I'm just saying. Again, just want to throw it out there to try to help you get some more money right now. All right, so with that being said, these programs range all across the board. Some states are sending out checks of $200, $250, $350, $400, even $800 in some cases. Now again, one more quick note before we get into the list, which is there are still multiple states out there right now who are trying to get checks approved on the state level, okay? So just remember, some states out there, for example, Pennsylvania is one of these key states out there right now where the governor and the different lawmakers are still kicking around this idea of a $2,000 check in the state of Pennsylvania. That's just one example, okay? And remember, maybe something will still come. We have the midterm elections coming up, and we do know for a fact right now that a lot of these different state lawmakers out there right now are trying to get something done before the midterm elections. That is the fact of the matter right now. So just remember, there could be some more things coming up here between now and the midterm elections if something actually gets done here. Anyway, with that being said, I want to bring my wife Corey in. Many of you know Corey here. She actually hasn't been around in quite a while now. She has not been in one of the videos, but she's going to be back here for you right now. She's going to read through this list. Here's the thing. We could literally be here for the next 2 hours talking about all the different parameters around all of these different checks that are going out on the state level. So what I'm going to have her do is just simply read the list of states for you. If your state is on the list, do some additional research. Just look into it a little bit to see what you got to do to grab the money. Again, we could be sitting here and talking about all the different parameters for each individual state. Honestly, it would take probably an hour to go through all of those intricate details. There's a lot of different rules per state. It's different for every single state. So again, if your state is on the list, just do some additional research, see what you got to do to grab the money. If your state is not on the list, again, please don't be upset with me. I'm not the person that makes the rules. I'm simply the messenger. So again, keep stay tuned because there are more states out there right now that are currently working on getting checks to their residents. So again, something will probably change here, and there will likely be many more states added to the list here within the next couple months as we approach the midterm elections. Anyway, with that being said, enough out of me. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out some of the other thousands and thousands of videos here on the channel. And make sure to leave your comments down below because if you come across one of those recent videos, there's some pretty cool stuff going on right now, and you may get some stuff showing up at your door that you requested. Anyway, that's my little hint. Go back and check out some of the most recent videos, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you see it. Anyway, keep those comments coming. With that being said, Corey, take it away. And this is the list of different states, and I would advise you to do some additional research to see what you got to do to grab the check. Anyway, sorry, enough out of me. Corey, take it away, and I'll catch you again later in the next video. All right, Corey, it's all you. I'll see you soon. See ya.
California, Colorado, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Maine, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Virginia.